Watching 10 News. Are we all partied out? Transport officials trying to predict New Year crowd numbers fear we are. But Lord Mayor Frank Sartor says Sydney-siders will never get tired of a good party.
Sydney's transport system delivered the goods during the Olympics. Now it's facing another challenge, moving huge crowds of New Year's revellers in and out of the city over 2 successive days. Transport chiefs are worried Sydney-siders are so partied out they won't bother planning ahead for the New Year's Eve celebrations.
Be it Olympic fatigue or party fatigue, there is a great deal of unknown as we lead into the New Year's Eve week.
Extra trains and buses will be operating. Due to harbour restrictions, ferry services will wind down from 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve, resuming at 1 a.m. City Rail is also worried about the heat. If it's hot on New Year's Day, the tracks could expand, delaying services by up to 15 minutes, or commuters could fall ill. Last week, one train traveller suffered a fit. The subsequent hold-up affected 20 services. For the first time, Fodie's fireworks have been given total reign of the harbour, and this year promises something new. They're adopting a European approach to the pyrotechnics, fewer straight up and down projectiles and more artistic fireworks. The show will be seen from at least 20 vantage points across the harbour, stretching from Gladesville to South Heads. There'll be 2 performances, a 10-minute family display at 9 p.m. and the big 16-minute affair from midnight. The Harbour Bridge Eternity symbol didn't last too long. In its place this year, an Aboriginal rainbow serpent and the Federation Star.
The rainbow spirit will paint itself across, first in white and then the colours, and then it will ripple like an actual serpent. Lord
Mayor Frank Sartor has scoffed at the suggestion we're all partied out.
It's just not possible for Sydney-siders to be sick of partying. It's just physically not possible.
He says anyone who ignores this year's show because they think they've seen it before will be sorry. Emergency crews already have a game plan in place, enforcing a ban on glass in the CBD.
The ambulance service treated 680 people on New Year's Eve in the city last year from minor cuts, and people don't come in to be injured during the festivities.
And police, as usual, will be out in force. Sean Fewings, 10 News.
Party to continue with plans for an even bigger bang on New Year's Eve. With more than 1 million people expected in the city for the party, organisers are promising the best celebration yet.
Just when we thought it couldn't get any better, organisers are promising the fireworks display this New Year's Eve will be the best ever.
Far more intense. We're actually shooting more shells in a smaller amount of time than anything we've done before.
This show is unique and different, and anyone that thinks that they can ignore this one because they've seen them before will regret it.
The display has been cut by 9 minutes and gone are the barges, but organisers promise a string of never-seen-before stunts, most of which are still secret. The centrepiece is a spectacular light show on the Harbour Bridge.
It is truly ravishingly beautiful.
More than 1 million people are expected to line the harbour foreshore this New Year's Eve. The only problem, surveys show, many still haven't done their homework and have no idea exactly where they'll be or how they intend to get there and back home again.
Be it Olympic fatigue or party fatigue, there is a great deal of unknown as we lead into the New Year's Eve week.
People are being advised to start planning now, to use public transport, refrain from taking glass bottles into the city and to drink only in moderation.
We don't anticipate any trouble, but there is nothing that can happen in the city that we are not properly prepared for.
Christine Spiteri, National 9 News.
And if you manage to survive New Year's Eve, the party continues the next day with celebrations to mark the centenary of Federation. One of the main events will be a massive parade through Sydney, featuring dozens of floats and more than 6,500 performers.
In the back blocks of Sydney, a sneak preview of the grand finale, the last float in the Federation parade through the city on January 1, featuring a child watering a spinning sculpture of the world.
I see children as driving the future and also children nurturing the world and looking after the planet.
The end of the parade will be about the future after a look back at Australia's past, such as war and peace and good sports, including the old couch potato Norm. These characters, designed by children in central western New South Wales, one of many contributions from regional Australia. To top off Australia's Federation birthday, a theatrical ceremony performed on this massive stage. Organisers are expecting up to 100,000 people at the concert in Centennial Park, where the Federation document was signed a century ago.
So it really is a contemporary look at where we have come from and where we are going.
And if parades and concerts aren't your thing, you can always sit back and relax at a pub or restaurant. They're allowed to open around the clock for 5 days, starting Saturday. But just as they did during the Olympics, many local councils have stepped in to quash longer operating hours, a small dampener on yet another of Sydney's famous parties. Flo Bitcon, National 9 News.
The train and ferry services will be running, but they'll have to cope with up to 1 million passengers.
The fireworks barges are almost ready. It must be time for another Sydney celebration. The year 2000 fireworks were billed as the biggest ever. The end of the Olympics, better still. But organisers promise this New Year's Eve will be no poor relation.
Best ever Sydney fireworks, best ever.
Lord Mayor Frank Sartor denies Sydney-siders are sick of fireworks. He's anticipating 1 million people will pack the foreshore. But transport authorities are concerned people may have become complacent.
We have been researching throughout Sydney as to people's intentions for New Year's Eve, and at this stage a lot of people are undecided about their plans.
2,000 train services and 1,400 buses will operate around the clock, but be prepared to walk.
The clear message is plan your evening. If you normally go to a place, plan the time that you would go there, use public transport and make sure that you have a contingency plan if the area that you go to is full.
Revellers wanting to replicate the Olympic party atmosphere will be helped by special licensing arrangements, allowing pubs and clubs to stay open for 5 days straight.
If you enable licensed premises to operate around the clock, there's less incentive for people to drink on the streets and in the parks.
But for those just interested in fireworks,
This show is going to be full of surprises.
the 9 o'clock family show will last 10 minutes, the midnight show 16. And again, the bridge will be a focal point. A special 8-pointed Federation star will shoot onto the bridge, surrounded by a moving rainbow serpent. Both will remain illuminated for 3 days, symbolising the burial of the old year, the beginning of 2001. Monique Wright, 7 News.
The state government has extended